How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy King Cap, and we're here with another video, a very special video. Now, as I know many of you have known, Sony has they've been taking quite some L's. I mean, with Concord, that disaster of a game, the PS5 Pro, all the negativity that Sony's been getting. But there is one diamond in the rough, and that is what we're speaking about today. I want to let you guys know my thoughts on Astrobot, and I think that this is one of the best games that have come out in 2024, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's get into the review. But before, as always, hit that like on the video, subscribe if you haven't, share it with your friends, your family, all of that, and let's get into the review, guys. So if you are a PS5 owner, you actually were able to play an Astrobot game. It was packed in with the PlayStation. It still is. If you get the Slim, the regular, and even the Pro, Astrobot's going to be packed in with it. And that gave us a really good sense of how the DualSense was. It was pretty much like a tech demo to show the DualSense and all the cool things that it can do. And it was actually one of the best launch games that came out with the PS5. Now, a few years later, about 4 years. Damn, has it been 4 years already? Anyways, 4 years later, we're getting an actual full game. The one that came out originally was like a bite-sized game, took you a couple hours, easy platinum, but now we're getting a full, I don't know, 12 to 15 hour Astrobot game. And yo, this company, they went all out in this game. And if you're like me, you might have grown up in the 90s, you may have grown up in the early 2000s, and that was the time where we had great platformers. It's a lost art now, but platformers used to be the shit back in the day. You had your Spyro, your Crash Bandicoot, you had your Ratchet and Clanks. I mean, they did turn more into an action game, but they were a platformer more originally. Your Jack and Daxters, your Sly Coopers, all of that. We had great platformers, and even before in the PS1 time, man, like it was like all platformers. That was like the bread and butter of gaming. And that just kind of went away over the past, I'd say 10, 15 years. But here we go, a great platformer, finally. And not only is it a great platformer, but just as the previous Astrobot game, it's a celebration for PlayStation. You know, if you have been playing PlayStation for years like I have, if you know the properties and the IPs that they have, this is just a way to celebrate it. I mean, there's so many callbacks and so many, bots that you rescue that are dressed as these iconic Sony IP characters, and it's just really nice to see. It shows that Sony remembers where their roots are, even though they are sitting on all these IPs and not doing jack with any of them. It's still nice to see that they remember how iconic these characters are, and it really just puts a smile on your face, especially if you're a Sony head like I am. So what are we doing in Astrobot? Well, I mean, the main story is pretty bare bones. It's just for an excuse to have these crazy wacky levels, but you crash your ship, and your ship actually is a PlayStation 5, funny enough, but you crash. All you and your Astrobot buddies get lost in this world, and you have to go and rescue them and go through the levels and try to fix your ship and try and get back at the alien that damaged everything. And you're not here to play the story. You're here to play the game and see these crazy levels and see the intuitiveness that is with the design. And they use the DualSense controller just as good as they did in the previous game, if not better, just because there's way more scenarios. And you're running around, you're jumping, you're punching enemies, you're getting power-ups for specific levels. Sometimes you're actually dressed as these iconic PlayStation characters. Like there's a level where you're playing as Kratos, there's a level where you're doing like the ape escape thing, and it's really cool. I'm definitely not going to spoil a lot because there's some really genuine cool surprises that come later in the game. But even in the gameplay, I'm just going to show the first couple worlds, nothing too crazy. But yeah, it's the game sounds very simple on paper, but just the experience and the DualSense and the soundtrack and everything, just it all put together just makes one of the best games that have come out for the PlayStation 5 in general. I'm gonna say it, this is probably one of the top PlayStation exclusives that you can get. We're so stuck in a time where if you're not shooting a gun or there's not some crazy narrative, it's not a real game. But sometimes it's nice to have a game that's just a video game. Like, there's no better way to say it. This is a video game ass video game. Like, you're playing a game. You're not being engaged and feeling like the character. Like, no, you're having fun, you're doing cool jumps, you're seeing all these cool scenarios, and that's the bread and butter of this game, and that's what's keeping everything so fun. And I think that's the best part about this game, is that I'm genuinely having so much fun. I have a smile on my face the entire time I'm playing, just because not only am I seeing all these classic Sony iconic characters that I grew up with, but also just the vibe of this game. Like, it is a freaking vibe. It's so lighthearted. You can make your guy dance and do like the Carlton dance, which is freaking hilarious. You can do a bunch of these dances when you save all the bots and you end the level and you count them in the little circle. They all start dancing too. It's just a good time, man. And when you go to your hub world, you have to like get some items in certain ways, and you have to get all your bots to kind of group up and do some teamwork stuff. And it's so cute, man. Like, and like the little noise that they're making, it's a really, really good time. I mean, there's a reason why companies like these journalists, I mean, even though journalists don't mean shit nowadays, but the reviewers, they're giving it 9s and 10s. Like, I don't think I've seen anything lower than a 9. If you go to the Metacritic score, it's doing amazing. If you look at the user review, it's doing amazing. Like, nobody has anything bad to say about this game. And I mean, how could you? Like, it's just a simple game. Like, if you have something bad to say about this game, you're either a hater of PlayStation or you have no heart. And if that's the case, then I'm sorry. And it's funny too, because there's no dialogue in the game, but the expressiveness of the characters and the little squeaks that they make, it really does convey an actual story of how these characters act and what their personality is. And it's really, really funny, and I really like that in storytelling, where you can tell so many things without words. And I think this is a great example of it. Now, it's not trying to be freaking Shakespeare. It's just trying to tell a simple story to give you an excuse to, run through these levels. But I think it's really cool. I think it is really cool how they presented the story in this game, and how even though there's nothing really going on and there's no words being said, it's cohesive enough. And what I really like is, this game I wouldn't say it's not a collectathon, just because you can go through the game pretty much and do the bare minimum to, proceed with the story or proceed with the campaign or whatever. But I like how many collectibles and hidden things there are. Like, in some levels, you can go into this kind of like Lost Galaxy world where the levels are harder and there's more things to go and more paths to take. And, if you want to find your puzzle pieces that you can bring back into the hub world to unlock shops and get skins for your character, like you can dress Astrobot up as the Bloodborne guy, which, I mean, Sony, come on, man. Like, when are you going to do something with Bloodborne? Either release a sequel or put the game in 60 FPS. You will make money, I promise you. But anyways, you get to do all these things, and it's really good to walk around the level and see what you can collect and see if there's any secret paths. And I think that they're really creative of how they hide some things. There's a lot of illusions of, like, there's you might think you'll fall down here and die, but really there's like a little path here that'll bring you to a bot. Really, really cool. And I think that is very important to making platformers, is making the player want to explore the areas. And even though they're bite-sized levels, there's so many things that you can do with such a small space, and I think that Astrobot kills it in that department. And yeah, this is literally on par with Nintendo platformers. Like, this is a game that's, in my opinion, on par with a Mario, Mario Odyssey or Mario Galaxy. I mean, even though Mario Galaxy is one of the best platformers ever made, I think that this is here to compete. And if they just keep refining their art, I think Astrobot can be another Sony mascot easily. So, do I recommend Astrobot? Hell yeah. I mean, this is easily one of the best games on the console. If you own a PlayStation 5 already, 100% recommend that you get this game. Now, do I think that it's worth buying a PlayStation or a PlayStation 5 Pro? No, But if you are thinking of getting one, this is a great game to add to the library. I 100% recommend it. And I think that you're going to have a great time, especially if you are around my age. You know, if you're in your late 20s, your 30s, and you grew up with platformers, it's a no-brainer. Or if you like your Mario games and you enjoyed Mario Odyssey, no-brainer. So I can't praise this game enough. I thought 2024 was going to be a pretty dull year, but we got some bangers. We got, one of my favorite games of all time now, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We got Black Myth Wukong. We got this now, and Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is coming out in about a month from the recording of this video. So I mean, 2024, although it's no 2023, it had some treasures and bangers. And Astrobot, I salute you. You are now amongst one of those games, and I'd say that this is easily a contender for Game of the Year. I'm excited to see if it sells well, because if this game does sell well, then we can definitely see more companies willing to make platformers. So I hate to be a shill and say go buy this game, but if you have a PlayStation, man, just go buy Astrobot. I guarantee you will not regret that purchase. That's gonna do it here, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Really appreciate it. We got a Black Myth Wukong video coming out next, and I'm excited to get my thoughts on that game, because that game is crazy good too. And we're gonna talk about the controversy and shit too, but definitely check out for that. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can see when I post a new video. If you have played Astrobot, leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. Did you beat it? Did you enjoy it? Are you thinking of buying it? Let me know in the comments below. Looking forward to hearing what y'all think, and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. King Cav is signing out. Peace, everyone.